Welcome to episode 1 of The Next Move. I'm your co-host, Keegan Dillon. I'm sitting here with Sandeep Singh and Raul Verduzco. A little bit of background about myself real quick. 15 years in industrial automation, spent 6 years doing contract engineering, another 4 or 5 doing innovation work, and then moved into more of a consulting and engineering service firm where we provide temporary staffing for manufacturing and industrial automation. So that's my background. I wanted to introduce myself. Sandeep, if you want to go ahead and give yourself a quick background.
Yeah, I'll do a brief one. I got 20 plus years in food industry, and then I had past few years been in automation. So when I say automation, I've been in a part of it where we build it, I tested it, I helped install it, helped develop it. So there's a different aspect of it, automation, so mostly industrial, and some application building. So yeah, there's a lot more to come.
And I'm Raul Verduzco. I've been doing this since 2008, as in controls automation, done power and free, done dynamometer, engine testing, wind tunnels, all the way to automation lines for different manufacturing industries. And my services, we provide engineering, automation engineering support, mainly integration side, and also providing new innovative products, which actually today, one of our first topics is going to be the state of automation as of right now. But I want to play a little clip for you guys of a video from sorry, what was the name, Keegan?
Yokogawa.
Yokogawa. So this is, I thought it was a really good video, as in shows how automation kind of started back, well, when horse and buggies were around, to what it is now. So I want to play this for you guys. I'm pretty sure you guys don't have this in your house. No.
No. I think they're probably don't even have it in a museum. I guess the safety was a luxury.
Oh, yeah. We still use trains today, guys.
And then here, looking at what, World War II here? World War.
Industrial.
Yeah.
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 finishing
That's
up.
when the big change came.
Yeah.
The power.
This is where we are currently, I would think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some manufacturing facilities.
Some are still a little behind.
SCADA software here. Now we're getting a data collection.
This is where we're going.
Yep.
Yeah.
With all the data collection now, that's what we do, I guess. One of my biggest pet peeves, I guess, would be how we're calling everything now AI. And with our industry, I think a lot of the stuff we're seeing is just machine learning. And then people now are starting to put that AI term in front of that, saying, oh, well, it's AI.
Yeah, that's kind of my pet peeves right now is like, me picking up a glass of water is AI. It's
Well, I hate to say it. I think the reason they say it's AI is because, back when we were in college, we developed a lot of stuff on our own. And, we had reference code, but we developed it on our own.
Yeah.
You had to think about it. Now, I hate to say it, kind of with industrial automation, because, in different plants, they had, bought machine from here, from here, from here, from here, from here. And
Yeah.
kind of one of the issues was, and it was true, is that this was, but this company, the program is different. From this company, the program is different. This company,
course,
the program is different from this company. So the idea was, how can we create a template for everybody to follow? And it's easy for our team to be able to, troubleshoot, look at it, review it. And so that's when the kind of template code comes up, and everybody start pushing that down. And everybody else, obviously, I call it, everybody sees somebody doing one thing and do another, kind of monkey see, monkey do.
Yep.
And everyone kind of follows it, even though they may not truly understand it. And so to me, that's where then, okay, how can we make this easier, more repetitive? And that's where AI comes into play.
So where do you think then the first part of true AI takes over in the industrial automation industry?
When or
Where?
where?
Like where? I can see
It's-
it happening, and it seems to be happening sooner and sooner, right? You see all these changes from tracking, again, more of machine learning, but tracking downtime, tracking wear through products, maintenance cycle, certain scheduling maintenance.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of
Even
machine learning.
machine wear and tear.
When do you see, are you guys seeing anything in particular? Because just in the last 4 or 5 years, I think you've seen exponential growth in that, in tracking and data collection. But when are we going to be able to start turning that data collection into true AI? Do you have any thoughts behind that?
Well, kind of my thing is that, like I've always said, when I first started off in programming, next thing I know, they wanted to do, track if the station's blocked, starved, etc. And they want to know when it happens. So, okay, that's cool. I can send you this data, but are you going to read it?
So I guess to that point is, like when you say data, right? Data's great, but is it collectively? Is it being used, or is it just in a file somewhere in a folder? That data.
That's the problem to me.
Is it getting implemented somewhere, or somebody is actively using that data to develop that AI, or is it sitting into some Joe the maintenance guy, his folder somewhere, that how many times he has to tighten certain nut or screw or to keep the machine running.
Well, so are we talking with like data creating the AI, or are we talking more like on the maintenance side? I guess I'm trying to figure what direction we're going.
Well, I think it's collectively, like we're, like data is basically even in AI, right? So in AI, if the way it is working is, what they say, 60,000 books or something that ChatGPT originally extracted data from, or to build their AI model.
Yeah.
So like building the AI model for industry, right? Being that data of maintaining the machine, being that an example, but in the other data that being stored in a file somewhere, that's how that get to the point where it's collected at one place, and then translated into.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I've seen two different things. So one thing that comes to my mind is, I have friends that are much older than myself. And like my friend Steve, he's like, I've done AI back in the 70s. So this is something that's been around for a while. And so, but his same point is, as what I think where we're alluding to, is that, you're getting all this data, but are you actually using it? And are you trying to make the modifications that is going to help improve your lines, essentially what the point of it is? And so I think it's AI's helping. How should I put this? Before, they'll get this data, but they didn't know how to read it.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest problem, is they got all this data, but they don't know how to read it. So how can we do that? And I think AI helps out in that area, as in, I give it this data, okay, tell me where I get the most amount of downtime. And so it creates a station 5. And okay, in Station 5, what do I get the most amount of faults? Give me the percentages of each, fault number or whatever. And so it would, I'm guessing, most likely pull out that number, boom, 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 80% this, somebody pressing E-stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then-
Sorry to cut you off, but are they, their procedure is stopping the machine with the e-stop?
Yep.
So, we're like, that's the point, like how to correct that.
Yeah, exactly. And it might be just simple as you go out there and you're like, oh, it's actually positioned in a bad spot.
Yeah.
Because when they're moving around, they kind of bump into it. And then so they got to throw away that tool or that part and then, start all over again.
So I'm waiting for the time when we can somehow use robot simulation, right? And right now you'll get a robot sim, you put it on the plant floor, and you still got to go through and touch things up, right? In the next 10 years, are we going to be able to do a simulation where we don't need to touch up anymore? Do you guys foresee that potentially in the future? Because for me, I find that hard, but I see that it could happen. If there's any there's already some sensors on robots now. You look at things like that, and that to me is what's really intriguing. And then I go, okay, well, they say, if you're in industrial manufacturing, your job's usually pretty secure. But if that day does come, am I going to be able to just do a simulation and
Send
5
it off
hours
and-
away remotely, download it into the robot, and it can reteach itself just the small touch-ups that need to be done? I think that will be a game changer, massively.
I
A
don't
truly
know.
autonomous
So-
robot, right?
Yeah,
in
yeah.
our industry, which we haven't seen
but
yet.
I think that there's a lot of like the ecosystem where the robot being installed. So there's other factors that would where is just the simple factors like is the floor leveled?
Yeah.
How do,
That's
you,
exactly.
how do you count that in the which way the
Well-
wind is flowing?
Yeah.
In that what's the ventilation in the company? So
Yep.
So I got one for you.
Yeah.
So to your point, one time I was working on a robot, or it was actually automation cell, 2 robots. One was put raw heads from the dunnage to the conveyor, and another robot pulled the finish head onto a dunnage so it could be shipped out. Well, the catch is, the one guy, the mechanical guy, he goes over there and he goes like, "Oh, these bolts are loose," and he tightens them all 4 down, on the robot. And then next day, the robot engineer's like, "Why is this stuff missing? Why is it clucking? Everything you touch it started making this clicking noise." And I said, "Oh, it's because he tightened the bolts down, and because everything's so precise in
of course,
robotics, you got to be able to do the touch-up point." And so those are the nuances that I think I feel that the new generation engineers, because they don't get to develop them from scratch as much because of the AI is able to I guess you say it makes things so much easier, and
Leads them down a certain path, right?
yeah.
But,
go ahead.
To that, but the other aspect of it is to your point, actually, the possibilities. The possibilities I would be is if there's a machine learning or vision on the robot. So to your point, like when they tighten the bolts on that robot, is when the robot is going to pick, if there's a vision camera, camera is saying, hey, it's off
Offset,
by 1 millimeter, and you're clicking. And there's a point I think we can get to that in about, again, 5-10 years or maybe next year. We don't know. Right now, the way the industry is, things we were predicting are going to take 10 years. They're coming up within a month. And the things we're thinking are going to take a month they're still way off.
As long as these companies can be agile and quick, right?
Yeah.
That's Otherwise, a lot of them
So-
are going to get left behind, I think.
So
yeah.
I'm gonna throw something at you guys.
What's up?
So this is one where this guy uses AI to help with programming. Just want to get you guys' reaction off this.
PLC.
And you're going to take some PLC programs off.
Well, maybe. Hold on.
Maybe.
Maybe.
with PLC programming?
Of course. What specific aspect of PLC programming do you need help with?
I have the Finder of the controller, and I would like to program it using a sketch language.
Programming the Finder Opta controller using the Sketch language, similar to Arduino, can be quite efficient.
So it actually creates the program for him, and all he does is copy and paste it from ChatGPT.
No way.
And then every time he tested it,
What was his prompt there?
which program?
Programming language can we program the
Filter operator controller.
That's all the prompt was.
Yeah, and it develops it for him to be able to copy and paste it in here. And then I'm not going to go through the whole thing.
Right, right.
But-
But we get the idea. Like,
Yeah,
that's-
and then every time he kind of tests it, he wants to add something, he'll tell ChatGPT, add this to it, and it'll create the script. And all he does is paste it here.
So where are we gonna go training for as to how to get ChatGPT prompts for PLC
It
programming?
might, that might be the case now, man.
I don't know. I mean, is that something we're gonna be? Is that the education of the future? I'm just wonder, like, I mean,
Well,
there's a whole system built to train PLC program. There's a whole system built to educate us in different aspects of programming, mechanical, and or are we gonna kind of combine all that into how to have a prompt for AI to build this?
I don't know. I hate to say it. I feel like, I mean, honestly, I hate to say it this way. Is the schools doing this? Like middle schools, high schools? Are they kind of teaching that and using AI to, are the kids doing this in the background?
So recently, I seen a video that has VR, so virtual reality in the school. So kids
Really?
are actually, taking looking at they have a little device or a camera or a projector, and with this pen, they're basically picking an image from the screen, and they're dissecting the heart or different parts of the heart on with the VR. So
Oh, I see
to
what you
that
mean.
point, yeah, I mean they're getting there. So I mean they're learning that this is the future. I mean,
Yeah, that's great though.
yeah, to me, it's like a .com bubble, right? When .com came around, there were businesses who were like, I don't need a website,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I have word of mouth.
Yeah.
Joe's down the road, or this town knows me as I have the best beef jerky around.
Yeah.
But now, if you don't have a website, you're not a legitimate business person.
Yep.
Yep.
Or your business is I would say judged or evaluated or how good your website is.
Yeah.
And then, hate to say it this way, I wouldn't be surprised if people are using, AI to fish you out. I
Yeah.
mean, they're using it right now on resumes and, recruiters now. I've seen it on TikTok, like you got to have keywords in there so the AI can pick it up. It doesn't matter what the resume, what
Wow.
it says in there.
Being the world that we are right now, where most of the interviews are being done online, so
Yeah.
they're done offsite with the video cameras, and these guys, they're posting videos that how they're cheating their interviews.
Yeah, I've seen a couple
I
of
mean,
those.
they're
Yeah,
literally posting. I'm like, is that purely for a content, or is that, I mean, are you really serious even getting that job, or are you wasting somebody's time? I'm not
Yeah.
sure, but they're making content because it's there.
Yeah.
People are doing it.
Well,
yeah.
to your point, there's once in a while I get these emails about, hey, there's a consulting gig here. Mm-hmm. And the next thing I'll watch TikTok or something like that, and I get a pop up of this kid using ChatGPT. The business owner's asking him questions, and he goes, "Oh, give me a minute," and then it spills out the
Yeah.
answer,
Yeah.
and he just repeats what he's reading off ChatGPT, and it sounds legit. And the guy, I'm like, dude, this kid knows nothing. You're paying him probably $250 an hour.
That's why we do all of our interviews with the cameras on for everybody.
Well, he
Oh,
did
no.
have it on.
Well, camera's on.
The camera is
cameras
on.
They're
and,
still cheap.
and we
They
make-
still cheat,
well,
dude.
Yeah, they probably
what they
do.
say, there's no lock for a thief. There's no stop for a cheater. So you cannot. there's
Well, that's why, again, one of the reasons why is when we get them and we say, okay, we want the project leads there to ask the technical questions, because I feel like some of the technical questions a chat GPT may not be able to understand
you'd be
yet.
surprised. You'd be surprised.
You'd be surprised. It's getting good.
Yeah.
I'm not
it's
gonna
getting
lie.
it's getting too good, I would say.
Yeah.
Definitely seen
Personally-
improvements the last
Yeah,
couple years.
personally, I use ChatGPT to because I'm really good bad at like writing good emails. You know,
Yeah.
like where I want to express in a nice way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more direct. I'm more like two,
Straight
three
to the point.
liners, to the point.
You know what?
And that comes out cold. And so I tell ChatGPT too, hey, make this email a little more nicer
Mm-hmm.
and ChatGPT does it for me. So
You know,
I mean, it seems like we're like advertising ChatGPT here, but that's where it's at right now.
yeah, you know, to be perfectly honest with you, I kind of did the same thing, but it was more a little bit different situation because, like you, I don't write the greatest emails. I know sometimes I don't come across like, oh, it's a friendly guy, just because, you know, it's hard to do that, and so I typed up this thing in ChatGPT. I go, make me sound like friendly, like somebody you want to hang out with. So I typed out what I would typically put in an email, and it was for our conference, and everybody was like a golf outing. And so I'm like, okay, you know, I typed out, I'm like, man, this sounds horrible. I'm just going to see if this thing can figure it out. And I typed, and I hit enter, and it spit it out, and I'm looking, and I'm like, wow, I actually would be friends with me if I read this.
Yeah.
Did it tell you were a scratch golfer too?
Oh man, dude, you know, lately I've been getting better, but you know, COVID, I stopped playing for a couple of years, and then I went to a golf outing, and I was playing, and man, I was hitting the dirt, and I was creating like these like beaver tails because it was just this hump of dirt that spit out, and I'm like, oh crap.
Hey,
It's definitely
Practice.
good for sales to get out on the course.
yeah.
Free tip for everybody.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's.
No, keep going, guys.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought you were pulling at something, but
No, I will.
yeah. So I think that this AI, to your point, there's certain things that people are just it's just a data collection, and then you just basically making a decision of what's what the results of that data is, or analytics of that data.
Yeah.
And some people just call that as AI.
Yeah.
And it's been thrown around so like simple even tools. They kind of like AI this, and I was like, really? My 8-year-old do that? That's not AI.
Yeah. You know, well, I'm going to take us to the next topic because I think we
Yeah.
beat up the
Yeah.
ChatGPT
Yeah,
AI
we did.
side
We
of it
did.
too
We did.
much. So, next topic is challenges and roadblocks in automation. And, you know, this is kind of one that, things about, the challenges, roadblocks is ensuring workforce safety and, let me see. And then one other things that usually comes up, overlooking the lack of experienced workers. Some people like, oh, I don't need this, the workforce as be as strong, or even on the workforce side of it, they kind of push back because, hey, this thing's taking my job. And so that's where the resistance comes into play. So I don't know your guys' take on it.
So on that part, I hear that, especially in a like if there's a company that never had a robot on their floor, they're like, oh, here comes the job killer, or X, Y, and Z, and my usually thing is like, are you really feel comfortable going in that mold, pulling that part out? Human being in a too hot,
Hazardous area.
hazardous area. And I'm like, if a robot doing it and a human just sitting outside making sure the part is, getting palletized or whatever, or inspecting it, or making sure machine is running good. And I think it created a safer job to me.
Yeah.
That's and not just that. There's other aspect of it where it's too dusty, too in the environment where you can put the robot in, but human has to have all this PPE
Paint,
and
right? Going through paint or
Yeah.
coatings or
And-
e-coat, that kind
yeah,
of stuff. Yeah.
painting. There's here's the biggest factor, is one of that what I think is over time, like when we were in Michigan here in Detroit, when we were building big cars, and we had people who lift up the engine blocks and just put it in there, right? So they're the strong people,
Yep.
and from like 70 pound to now we're down to 35 pounds.
Yeah, you have to have some
That-
sort of
that's-
harness
that-
to
that's-
help pick up things.
That's
yeah.
our lifting capacity. So
Yeah.
our strength overall as humans is going down, at least in in the U.S. So with that,
You're saying because of the automation, they don't have to lift as much. People are not, I guess, built as strong.
well, yeah, we're like new limits. So like every industry, even like the food industry and so on, they have a limit. There's a reason the airline puts a limit on. They want just 50 kg
Your,
Oh, yeah.
because
Your
it's the
your
people
overhead
who
bag.
lifting it.
Yeah.
The check-ins.
Yep.
And we think it's just the airline don't want to fly your, luggage or whatever. They want to take that weight. But there's the other aspect to it is people who are lifting it, putting in on the chain. They don't want it heavier because obviously
Right, they throw their
lifting
backs
capacity-
out.
Yeah, lifting capacity
And then-
for humans has been
Yeah.
going down. So, so to me, I think automation is bringing more safety and avoiding injury and helping them as yes, they're more efficient. They're all those things. That's
I'll be honest with you, I never really saw it that way, but it makes sense. The one spot that I really do see that what you're referring to is the really, really heavy equipment, like something like a Caterpillar. Like their equipment is very heavy. Even like lifting a door when I've done a project there in the past, and
Yeah.
they have these suction cups that help lift the door and put it in place so they can tighten the door down. And I've seen other manufacturing companies have like this vest thing,
Yeah.
kind of like you put on your body and
what,
help
what
you.
they call it, exoskeleton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I never actually used one. I don't know what.
Well, I think-
I've seen a demo of it once. I think one of the companies.
I think you look good in one.
I don't know if they make the shirt. But yeah, but they have. I seen one of the companies that demoed it at our facility, and this was a couple of years ago. So I'm pretty sure it's a lot lighter and a lot kind of versatile now.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's companies who doing that. But then again, even with those exoskeletons, the repetitive work, as humans, we are like really avoiding it. We're trying
Yeah.
to, our mindset, because of you call it all the environment around us is making us like, I call it a drive-to environment. We want everything in like 5 minutes, right?
Yep.
And with that, we're and all these things, they all come in a factor. It's not just, we look at the programming and it's a whole human factor to this whole automation it's needed. There's, we cannot avoid it because, yeah.
Well, and I think beyond just the safety aspect of it, you also have to look at the Upwork, how you're able to kind of upscale some of your employees and, give them better outcomes on their
Yeah.
futures,
Yeah.
changing people from operators to programmers with a little bit of training,
Yeah.
giving them more opportunities as well. I think that's something that a lot of people kind of forget about. But I do say one of the things on this study, though, is the study was done several years ago, almost 10 years ago now. And I think one of the problems is we haven't updated that because I've seen a lot of people use these job numbers and stuff. And and I think a lot of that was before COVID even. So I would love to try and find out too what some of the newer numbers are saying. Are we still down almost 500,000 manufacturing jobs? I know I just posted on my LinkedIn last week, the last 25, 26 months, the manufacturing industry sector has decreased. And from a jobs perspective, that doesn't seem good to me. You know, but is that because there's fewer jobs and there's these larger companies are growing big, so these smaller companies are shrinking and they're just moving to those companies, or we're producing less, or what? But I always try to make sure people also focus on just like the ability to upscale your employees when you're talking about this. And there's a lot of things too, I think, with the younger generation where they are interested in robot programming and things like that, because it's basically a video game controller that now they're taking. Oh, look, I actually get to make something move and, you know, move the axes and things like that.
Definitely. I mean, I think in the future, a future podcast, we'll go deep into all these topics. There's all this different industry where agriculture, medical, and you know, not just like car assembly or parts industry.
Right.
There's the factor you're bringing in is, and there's a whole generational shift. And those kids who grew up playing Nintendos and video game controls, and they grew up having their first toy as a drone.
Or like you just mentioned earlier, the kids that are now doing this AR, VR experiences in school. In the future, am I able to program robots now with a headset, with a VR headset on?
I hate to say it this way.
Stuff like that.
What if you know, this AR, VR get to a point where I'm off in a remote area? Like, how do I do this? And the doctors bring it up on AR, VR,
Well,
tell
yeah.
me what to do.
They're doing
Really?
remote service.
Remote surgery is already in place.
Well, in remote services, I guess, and specific to our industry, right, where you wear a Google glasses, you go into a facility, you have someone remotely who's doing service on it in their location, say here in Metro Detroit, the plant's down in Alabama, their service technician puts on the glasses, he's got a headset talking directly to the service contact here in Michigan. They can go through, do maintenance, show them what to do, highlight on their glasses, change this out. I mean, that stuff we've been talking about for
so Google
5,
makes
10
one?
years.
I knew
Google-
RealWear had one.
Yeah, there's something like that. I think Google Glasses has some capabilities of that remote service. There's a few companies that are
there's
doing
few different ones, but
Oh.
sorry, I don't want to kind of like
Go ahead.
jump on one more thing. Like, you know, I mean, we haven't even scratched the surface in automation. Like, you know, today we're just picking these, like we just highlighting these topics. So as we go into deeper into our next podcast, there's a automation that's being in construction. You know, person is sitting, like, you know, we talk about during war, like, you know, guy is the operator is sitting in Washington, and he's flying a drone in Afghanistan, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That is becoming as not just government, but it's becoming in other industries right now where they're operating heavy equipment. So we'll deep dive into that later on. But yeah, it is to the point where it kind of like, you know, whatever hair I have left in which your hair,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
Yep.
stand up there, you know.
kind of, you guys, when we were talking about the glasses, about, you know, being able to, somebody to be on the other side, be able to tell you what, I guess you say, how to repair this station or equipment, et cetera. One of the things I saw, which was, I never even thought it would come, meaning it'll be here right now, but I seen to where they can use these, I don't know if they're called Google glasses or whatever, but it's kind of like the Tony Stark, you know, glasses where if you're speaking a different language, it would translate it right in the glasses for you.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah, there's that one. There's earpieces, couple of them floating around. You know, and we'll talk more on that. So there's that. Like I said, we haven't even scratched the surface. Like, there's so much. You know how Ford started the assembly line, right? It's changed the whole industry. Like, I say it changed the humanity, not even the industry. Because after that, there was assembly line sandwiches, right? you know, you get to the point,
Yeah.
it changed the food industry, medical, and everything. So you get to that. So I think that's the change that's being done now, is that shift, that what assembly line did in, you know,
Yep.
a few years back. And you know,
Yeah, sorry guys.
yeah.
No. I was going to take us to the next topic because we're pretty much getting there. The
Yeah.
future of automation. And I don't know if you want to hit this one or the other one.
Doesn't matter. You can
I
hit
haven't
both of
seen
them
this
there.
one, so go ahead.
And then we're building progressively greater intelligence, and the percentage of intelligence that is not human is increasing. And eventually, we will represent a very small percentage of intelligence. But it feels like
So
And he's
to
talking
that
about
point,
AGI.
yeah, so,
Yeah.
yeah, he's talking about AGI. So AGI is
Explain to me what AGI is, guys.
in the simpler. You know, we'll all these things we'll do a separate episodes on. But right now, just to give you an overview, AGI is basically I can sit against AGI system or program, or you know, like ChatGPT. So through a computer, I can sit against it, and I can argue a research paper.
It would debate you, basically.
Yes. So it'll say I can do it where I say, you know, here's this is my theory on my PhD, and this is what I'm presenting, and AGI basically, like he said, it can suppress our capabilities, our thinking capabilities. So you know, and because we're limited to the time, our attention span, and how much drive we have to do a research and do a paper. Computer
it's ba-
isn't.
So it's kind of like, in comparison, I could run this robot 16 hours, but a person can only run, you know, 4 hours,
8 hour
and then
shift or
15-minute
whatever.
break,
Yeah.
4 hours.
In 8 hours, you're barely productive. Maybe 4,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, what standard is try to get 80% out of that 8 hours, and
don't
usually
think
most
most-
companies aren't.
No. So we're like, you know, we are, and the robot gonna be like I don't know, 7 hours and 59.999 seconds.
Yep.
Only time it's gonna be delayed because the internet was too slow.
Yeah, right.
So that's basically kind of like giving the highlight, the basics of AGI.
Well, let me ask you guys, do you want to run this clip where looks like Sam gives a
Yeah.
better definition?
AGI is thrown around a lot. How would you define AGI, and how do you think you'll know?
I think there's a lot of valid definitions to this, but for me, AGI is basically the equivalent of a median human that you could hire as a coworker. And then they could say, do anything that you'd be happy with a remote coworker doing just behind a computer, which includes, you know, learning how to go be a doctor, learning how to go be a very competent coder. There's a lot of stuff that a median human is capable of getting good at. And I think one of the skills of an AGI is not any particular milestone, but a meta skill of learning to figure things out, and that it can go decide to get good at whatever you need.
He's putting it nicely. When he said, you know, he's putting it nicely, like don't want to scare everybody. But you know, the point is on that is, you know, you're diagnosing somebody and you want second opinion. Like he said, coworker, that's a second doctor. You can get a second opinion from.
Yep.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, he's putting it at a human level where we're thinking like, oh, it's just a coworker. I'm just gonna get extra help. No, that is exactly your copy right there,
Yeah.
or better.
Your coworker. Yeah.
Holy smokes.
So if your coworker is Elon Musk, that's what that is.
But how is that going to relate to what we do in manufacturing, right?
They're going to put,
What part of that? How can they
I could see that with the
humanoid robots?
I could
next,
see that.
moving parts. I mean, we've seen some of those in some of the shows this last year, but at what point does that start to happen, start to remove some of those jobs that we've seen in the industry? I think we're a ways off. Even some of
I
the material.
hate to say it, I think
moving.
We're there.
I think we're almost there.
Really?
then-
From a humanoid perspective,
E-
moving,
So
they're just slow.
So
I've
there-
seen a lot of those. They're
so
just
there's
slow
two
moving
versions of
parts.
humanoid, right? They're slow,
For now.
but they're not taking breaks. I hate to say it.
Yeah. I'm not on social media. I'm not on. Got to go to the bathroom, or
Yeah.
someone calls me.
Yeah.
'Cause
hate
I
to
mean, I've
say
seen
it,
them move.
but that's
bins
what,
around.
that's what that is. We calling it slow, but they're consistently doing the same movement
True.
for 8 hours. You put them in.
Yeah,
and
as long as they're charged, right?
Yeah, as long
Well,
as they're
the thing with
charged.
it is you don't have to watch it.
Yeah, if
That's the biggest catch. Because
no
I
supervision needed, technically.
Yeah. True.
and you just program it, let it go, and then come back 8 hours later or 10 hours later, wherever the task is, or maybe you put it at 8 o'clock at night at your house,
Yeah.
go to sleep, wake up, it's all done.
Clean the house.
Yeah,
That's what I
Well,
need.
they already doing it. You seen that one?
I've seen the bathroom cleaner one, but that was a
Well,
robot.
that's an old video. We'll
Yeah.
show you next time.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll show you next
Something
time.
else
There,
to talk about.
yeah, there's you already seen that a whole the Roomba, whatever, the vacuum cleaner, the robot vacuum cleaner.
Yes, so we have one. It mapped our whole house the first day and called every room what it actually was. It was terrifying.
Not-
They knew exactly what each room was.
Not just that, you know how like it's some of the older built houses, they have the door and there's a little frame that they couldn't jump. Now they can jump that.
Yeah, I just saw that video. Yeah.
So there it is limitless. It is to the point where
Will we be retired when they take our jobs?
no, we can still do a
No.
podcast about them.
no,
I think it's further out than most people think. To be honest, maybe I'm naive here, but
No,
for example, I don't think my daughter will drive. That's only 15 years away. That I think is more feasible, self-driving vehicle
you know-
than robot programming itself, doing the PLC work, operator loading the parts. Maybe I'm just naive here, but I'm thinking we're at
Well-
least 20 plus years out, and by then hopefully I'll be gone.
I think we're closer than what we want to anticipate. So let me give you an example. So a friend of mine, he does like transmission programming, for engines and transmission. So he said when he was, he was working for a company based out of China, and he was out there, and he told these guys, go ahead, parallel park this car. And they're like, I don't know how. And he's like, what do you mean? Why can't you parallel park? And they're like, well, there's no camera.
Oh,
They didn't know how to back up a car without a camera or without the sensors.
so to that point, I have a car that has all the bells and whistles and I turn all of them off
Yeah.
when I'm driving because my driving, it tells me about 10 minutes in a drive that take a coffee break. So
So did you?
no, I'm 4 hours later. I'm still driving.
Oh my gosh.
So,
I mean,
so it is the point where, and to your point, that if your daughter will be driving, yeah, I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think she'll get picked up by an Uber type thing and
Oh
taken
no,
to
she was
school or
picked
go
up
into places.
And
Yeah.
and again, there's so much to uncover. I keep on saying this, but to just on the car side of it, and there's all the like how we purchase cars. Are we gonna be car owners in future? So there's gonna be there's the whole different aspect of it. And,
well,
yeah.
that I hate to say it this way, than what our car manufacturing company's thinking.
yeah.
How do we survive if that's the case? People stop
if you're
driving.
constantly renting out your car to other
Well,
people.
here's the thing,
like
too.
the Toro type stuff.
Well, here's the thing too, is that I don't know, it's something that you just clicked when you were talking about, with your daughter driving and everything. I'm like, well, technically, if you go to other countries, you really can get away with not having a car. Like in, for
Different
example,
cities.
well, like for example, in
here.
Japan.
Even in the cities here, some of them from I have a cousin who she's getting married here in few, and She don't have a driving license.
Yeah.
She never felt the need of it.
Well,
Where she lived in U.S.
Yeah.
well, shoot. Like in Japan, I was in, I think the town was called Kyoto, and I went to one of the CrossFit gyms, and the gentleman there, the owner, he's from the UK. He goes, yeah, I haven't had a car here since I moved here, and he runs the gym. They have a bike with the basket
Yep.
and a little thing
all you
for
need.
the kids.
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't need a car. And you could pretty much get away with that. Unfortunately, I don't think our country's not set up that way.
It's too
Oh, we're
big.
pretty vast. So
Yeah,
We're,
so
we're not set up, but again, some cities that'll happen.
Oh, yeah.
And it's already happening. Some cities you
Well-
don't even have a place to park car. Well, how are you gonna even have a car there?
Well, that was the part I was kind of thinking about is, so I'm pretty sure everybody wants their country kind of set up that way, like Japan, where you don't really need a car. You kind of get away with, taxis and whatnot, Uber drivers, Turo. And it's like, how can we create that here if we don't have a train system? Well, what's the idea? Is that what you guys are talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the point where here, companies gonna be shifting towards even the manufacturing companies, maybe just like our phones. They're gonna be turning your phone in and get a new phone
Get a new one every
Every-
few months.
every few months or whatever. Get a new phone, and you just a subscription level, because at that point they can revamp the batteries. They can do whatever. I'm not saying that this is happening tomorrow.
Or there's like the skateboard version too of
Yeah.
the cars that you've seen where you have the standard base and you need the minivan today, you get the minivan one. You need the car one today, you get the car. Nope, you need the truck, replace it with the truck. So the
Well,
skateboard
you
model's
guys kind of
coming
remind
too.
me of this right now as we're talking about this. When's this going to hit?
I don't think they'll necessarily look like that, but some of those images on the right might be more like drone type. I don't think this is feasible really.
With the flying cars? Like, there's
Like
different
this-
versions of
yeah,
this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This version of it, I think it's going to be more like a drone setup. Some like the,
Yeah, but
I think it's called the Velociraptor
Yep.
or something, that one, or
like,
some of the more standard drone looking ones.
might not even have a car. It might just have a drone that flies you from point A to point
Right,
B.
right.
And this is old. I don't think we're going to go with one of these, but gosh,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind flying
Yeah.
/ driving it.
Well, again, everything has a limitation, right? This is like what you're looking at it right there. Isn't a great weather right there,
Yep.
right? Michigan weather. Try to
Yeah.
drive that thing in a snowstorm.
Yeah, right.
So I'm gonna say everything has a limitation. So nothing is gonna go away 100%. but there's gonna be new things introduced.
Yeah.
Things like this, flying cars. Yeah, they're gonna be introduced, but they'll probably be good. Like probably not in a tornado alley and probably not in Michigan. But yeah, I would say is somewhere flat, more like
Well,
Ohio.
again, if you have the drone style, right, you could go in New York from rooftop to rooftop. Super
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah. So things like that, they'll happen. They are happening. But again, I don't think that's in. The thing is, right now with AI and with all this robotics and so on, the whole global industry or intelligence, I would say global intelligence in the industry is kind of becoming one in. Interconnecting, I want to say. So the guy in somewhere in Vietnam or somewhere in India on the other side of the world is developing something, and he can post that on a YouTube. Guy from some big investor out of New York sees it and sees a potential in it, flies that guy over here, says, or goes over there, says, hey,
Excuse me.
I see a potential,
Yep.
and he, they build it. So I think there's a certain things that there's the guy who couldn't, I would say is like the guy who at some time couldn't get his product developed because of lack of resources. I think that's kind of is going away If
No,
you have a willingness,
that aspect of it. Well, the one thing I kind of think about right now when you brought that up, I forgot the gentleman who invented the television. He was like a farmer. And, you know, the old tube TV is what I'm referring to. Because I guess he used to do it as a line, like the image like this.
Yep.
And he got the idea because he worked on a farm. Because he pulling those tractors and it was, you know, down the line. That's where his idea came from working on the farm. How to create that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yes, neither did I.
So you what you're alluding to is that, you know, those type of development ideas, people with those, I guess, innovative ideas may not, I mean, they may not get seen, but they may not have to go get the kid. That's what you're saying. They could probably just, you know, hey, I can pop this on this thing and see if we can figure it out.
So, so there's a lot of changes that are coming, and again, these are changes, but they're not gonna happen overnight. But they're happening. Our mindset, we need to prepare for it. We need to basically think it that way as like, you know, like a .com. This is happening. We need to.
There's no stopping it. The
there's no
cat's out the
stopping
bag
it.
at this point.
Yeah,
so
there's-
you got to change and adapt, or you're going to get run over.
Yeah, and I guess the part I'm not too worried about is that, you know, one of the books I read from Robert Kiyosaki, he goes like, this is your greatest asset. And he goes, if you can, you know, keep up, think, be innovative, you know, get ready for what's coming 20 years from now, that's how you're going to make it.
Well,
And how do you explain that, though, to some of your customers that you work with
hard.
to innovate?
It's
and,
hard.
and
It's hard.
improve? I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen some of that out in the real world, right?
yeah.
It's definitely hard. I think the hardest part, I guess you alluding to the customer side of it, is that, you know, I see something that, oh, this is cinch, we can implement this, we can get this going, boom, 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 be done in a month or two, or, you know, get you going. But from their point of view is a lot of resistance, a lot of hesitation, just because, you know, in automation, kind of go back to the challenges of roadblocks, is, you know, upfront cost, plus do I have the talent to keep this going? Plus, you know, there's a lot of fears, especially you've never done it before. And so just getting through that hurdle is probably the most challenging part. And, you know, you got to be innovative and creative from that aspect as in, okay, you know, let's say, for example, in another state, hey, I know this guy here or this company I typically work with in this area. They can help you maintain this when things go down.
Yeah.
Or we can put a person on site, but this would be your quote unquote cheaper option. So, you know, it's nothing wrong with being creative and being able to adapt and be able to come up with those ideas. That's what I mean about using this. And a lot of people like kind of get stuck like, oh,
I think like to kind of being a little devil's advocate here on that side from customer side, I think they don't have the systems in place.
that too.
So you know, I mean, their older systems are so have a tight grab on their procedures and everyday work that they're, you know, to go out of it. Are you gonna be the one who trying to introduce it? Are you gonna take all that pushback that you're gonna get from higher up or people around you? So I think there's that aspect of it where, you know, people don't want to basically get any pushbacks and so on. So they don't want to challenge the status quo.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's something I always like saying is that, you know, especially working in dynamometers, you got to kind of figure things out because in dynos, and this is where I learned to become I guess you should say a good troubleshooter because it could be a mechanical issue, it could be an electrical issue, it could be a software issue. When I say software, it could be the PLC, it could be the PC, it could be a cable, and just be able to troubleshoot that. And then when you figure it out, then you got to talk the language of that person to be able to, you know, get it right. And so, you know, it's, how should I put this? You can't be afraid to lose your job.
Yeah. See,
and take on those challenges. Like, I think it's this, it will work, and
yeah.
go.
I think they're taking on responsibility and to be like a pioneer in something. A lot of the system that's are in place are expressing that, and especially in a big mammoth companies. The system they're not basically promoting individual innovation. I want to say mindset, and bringing in something new. Maybe again on the company side, maybe they had too many failures, but you know, I mean, it's how many times Wright brothers crashed their, you know, plane.
Crash airplanes, yeah.
You know, how many times did they crash? How many times they did burn and got hurt and hurt themselves? And but today there was another company, we don't even remember the name of it, that was funded by the government and had all the sponsors. Couldn't get the plane set, but we remember Wright brothers. So are you gonna be Wright brothers of the future, or are you gonna be the company that
SpaceX, right?
does this? Why, you know?
Yeah, and I hate to say this, you know, it's about, you know, how should I put this? Robert Kiyosaki always says, you know, you can't be afraid to fail. I think it was, you need to fail faster. That's how you're gonna
Just
learn is
get
by
over
making
the
mistakes.
yeah.
You gotta keep. It's the only way you're gonna get past it.
Yep.
Well, guys, I think we need to obviously wrap it up. Ace is getting hungry.
Yeah.
Hangry, as they say.
Where's the snicker? You got cookies. You got cookies.
I got cookies, but they ain't working.
Yeah.
So obviously we're on to our next move.
Yep.
So go ahead, Keegan.
All right, yeah. So we just wanted to wrap up. Thank everybody for watching our first episode. One of the reasons that we started the show was the background. We used to always, all three of us would meet for breakfast and decided, hey, why don't we share some of the topics that we talk about for breakfast on a podcast here? So that was our main motivator here of doing this. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, please give us a like, comment, share. Don't forget to subscribe. And like Raul said, join us here and we'll find out what is the next move. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sandeep's buying.
Sure. Oh yeah, it is my turn.
There you go.